everyone, welcome to Ellis Mowers. I appreciate y'all watching the channel as always. We're kind of in that time of season here. Just after the 4th of July around here is when I'm filming this. Haven't had a ton of rain here in May and June, and the grass is dry, which means that sales are slow. But that also means that I can take my time and get things right. Y'all saw I worked on a Troy-built Bronco. Still currently waiting on that thing to sell. I've got it listed for $700. I figured that somebody would jump on it for that price, but nope. Anyways, the next mower I'm going to work on here on the channel is Yard Machines MTD. It is an early 2000s model. It's a 2002. Sorry, we're not going to play guess the year on this. 14 horsepower, 38-inch cut. Got for free. And just had to go across town. It came with a push mower for Craftsman push mower that had a pretty rusted out deck. Got it running, sold it for 40 bucks, so I'm like $40 in the good right now. Buy me a set of blades for this thing. It does need some blades. Biggest thing on this than what I've seen, it does need a starter solenoid too because it's been sitting a while. I have cleaned it up. I'm sure some of y'all are very happy to see that I have cleaned my machines before I've started working on them. Does make your hands a little bit cleaner, doesn't it? Anyways, a couple of small cosmetic issues, nothing crazy. Don't think it's going to take too much to get back going. The biggest thing is this thing was left with the air filter cover off of it, and it's got one of those that have the air cleaner type things on the top. Got a bunch of water in the cylinder, so I've got to flush that out. I'm going to attempt to try and do that without having to flush out the head or to take off the head to do it. I don't know if I'll be successful. I've already put some carb spray and stuff in just to see if I could get some of it cleaned out. If I can get it cleaned out enough to where most of the water's out of it, we can dilute it with some gas, then maybe. But I have a feeling I'm going to have to take this head off in order to get it all straight. Putting a head gasket on ain't a big deal. But we'll see what we can do first off. I do need to get a starter solenoid in it first before we go any further with this. But we'll go ahead and get started on it. Again, if you have any questions about this video, feel free to reach out to me, Ellis at ellismowers.com or at ellismowers09 on Instagram and Facebook. I have affiliate links down below as well that will help you get a little bit of a discount if you find anything you like on those respective websites down below. Let's go ahead and get started on this MTD Yard machine, see if we can revive it, get it back going again. Alright guys, let's get started on this thing. This is the fourth mower I've actually got from this guy. Had a Craftsman rear engine rider, the one that had all the transmission problems. Tried to eat belts and stuff. That wasn't very fun. Bird's already gone on this thing. But and I had two Craftsman riding mowers. Some of the first riding mowers I saw on the channel back in 2020, and the first two that I ever did in my house setup here. This is a 14 horsepower, 38-inch deck. Like I said, it does need some blades. I have already done the Atf Fix on the rear tires. I think are okay. Might have to put a little bit in there. I have done the Atf Fix on the front tires, and I tell you what, the right one or the left side over here was going down in a day. It has been a week since I've done this, and it is very good holding air. So tires are decent. Steering's okay. This doesn't have any of the grease fittings and stuff on it, unfortunately, so we'll just have to spray it down with some WD-40 or something. Battery obviously was bad. I've put a new battery in it. The battery tray is pretty rusted though, so hopefully it will last. Transmission seems to engage. Deck seems to be engaging properly. I have learned that you have to hold this bar up in order for it to hit the safety switch in order to turn it on. I did get it to turn over a couple of times before the starter solenoid just finally bit the dust on it. So I'm going to put a starter solenoid on it. Let's take the hood off. kind of an ingenious way that they've tried to make the hood stay on here, because y'all know these older MTDs always break the hood brackets right there at the bottom, and this one's no exception. So what the guy did is he bolted some of this steel L bend and bolted the front of the hood to that, which I'm going to redo once I get everything fixed here, because that's actually a fairly ingenious idea, because the hood still works, the hood still looks pretty decent, and we got to bolt these back on too when we get a chance. But for now, while we're fixing it, we'll just take it off, leave it off. So let's take a look in under it real quick. So this is the 14 horse Briggs overhead valve. You'll see I got a little bit of water and stuff down here. It's because I've tried to flush out the cylinder of water, and you can just see it just coming out like nobody's business. So we'll see if I can fix that. Maybe I'll give it a couple turns and see if you can see the water coming out down here, but yeah. I mean, it's really bad. I'm probably just gonna go ahead and pull the head off of this thing to give it a really solid clean out, because I'm sure that the cylinder's got rust in it. I'm sure the head's got rust in it, and all that other stuff. So that's not something that's gonna be fun, but could be worse. We got to put a carb. I'm sure we got to put a carb on it anyways. I don't know if it's got a Walbur or a Nicky, since it's an 02 model. It's got a Nicky. Got to do some fuel lines too. So not terrible at all. Throttle still works. Choke works. Air filter cover, like I said, it did not have one. I put one on it just because it's been sitting out in the elements. I want to try and protect the engine as much as possible. Engine wise, 14.0. This is a 28,000 series. It's a 28N707, made in what is that, April 1st of 2002. And when I looked up the model number, it confirmed that this was a 2002. So this is actually a fairly late version of this body style. I want to say that maybe 2003 or so is when they probably quit making these, because I did have a Husky that looked like this, that had the newer plastic cover on it with that little square looking air filter. Here's your model number, 13AM660F062. So one of these mowers you could buy at Lowe's in 2002 probably cost $800 to $900. This is one of the lower end of them. So I'll take this air filter cover off. I'll show you all the debris and stuff inside. We might go ahead and take the intake off as well, and then we'll go ahead and get into this whole engine situation, see if we can pull the head off and all that good stuff in order to get it to where it will seal properly and not be rusted. Well, I can already tell you this one's going to be fun, because here's our intake. I don't know how well y'all can see it, but y'all can definitely see it when I wipe my finger on it. Woo! So we got a lot of rust to purge out of this engine. A lot. Alright, let me go ahead and get to work. I am going to take off. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. Y'all seen me do this 1,000 times on this channel. trying to consolidate these videos to make them a little bit more entertaining and less mundane. We're going to do 3/8 right here, and in the back, that's going to get our engine cover off. I don't know if the starter's strong enough to turn it or not. It seems like the starter's okay. Star bits are going to get my exhaust off, and then we're going to be at the point where we can go ahead and start taking the head off the mower. And that's just a bunch of what looks to be 1/2-inch bolts on this. Sometimes they're 10mm, depending on your year model. So I'm going to go ahead and work on that. When I get to the point where we're about to take the head off, I'll let y'all know. We're also going to, I think I'm also going to get the get these valve cover bolts off too, which are just 3/8 or 10mm as well. And we'll see how bad the situation is in this thing. It's got compression. As long as the valves are moving back and forth, I can probably free them up still. As long as we don't have it popped a valve seat or anything like that, then I think we're going to be okay. Even so, we'll still be okay, because I've got quite a few heads around here too that we could sub out. Anyways, let me get to work. When I get to the point where we're going to take the head off, I'll show you what everything looks like, and we'll go from there. Alright guys, I've gotten the exhaust off and stuff too. I jacked up the front a little bit just so I can keep some of the oil, or shall I say milk, chocolate milk. It's not a head gasket issue, it's just because there's been so much water coming out of this thing. This thing ain't turned in a while, guys. You can see we've got little remnants of rodents, I think, trying to build nests and stuff, and the coil wire is a little frayed. I don't know if I can save that or not. We'll see. We'll test the resistance on it. So you can see we've got a little bit of rust here on the head, on the intake, but I think we could scrape that off. Got a little bit of water residue. We just need to give this thing a good old bath. A little bit of rust on the exhaust push. That's exhaust, guys. I'm sorry. The exhaust push rod. We just need to give this thing a big old bath. That's what we need to do. I wonder if it'll fit in the ultrasonic cleaner. Anyways, y'all saw how bad the intake is. The spark plug hole is equally as bad. The exhaust is pretty bad too. Let's see if we can see if the exhaust moves here. So my valves are moving, that's a plus. That's a big plus, actually. So, again, if we can get this engine running, rest of the mower seems like it's pretty darn good. So, now I'm at the point I'm going to go ahead and take the head off with the 1/2-inch bolts, and we'll see. I'll get the vacuum out and vacuum some of that stuff out too, and we'll see how bad this is. I'll test the coil to see if it has the proper resistance. If it does, we'll see if it withstands the heat once this engine warms up, and we hopefully get it fixed. All right, we're a few 1/2-inch bolts away from having this head off. Give me just a second and we'll get right to it. All right, I've gotten all these bolts off. You just got to look at and find all the 1/2-inch. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 3 on the bottom, so you got 8 total to get off. And this thing should pop off. Obviously, it'll take the valves and stuff with it. It'll leave the push. It may leave the push rods behind. Oh man. Woo! This one's gonna be rough. Y'all see how bad that is? Holy cow! Man, oh man! Just a bunch of junk. See it? Right there in the head too. Man. All right, so we're pushing out the mud and the water and just the junk in this engine. I haven't even checked the oil to see if it's gotten in the oil or if it just got in the head there. Oh boy. Yeah, look at that. Oh boy. Okay. Well. Oh, look at, oh man. Check this out, guys. I just pulled the dipstick. Oh boy. This is like 90% water right here, so ain't gonna kill nobody. Oh boy. Alright. It's still coming out. This is all water. It's barely even any oil in it. This crankcase is full of water. Holy cow. Still coming out. I'll take my little sucker and suck everything I can out of this thing. Might have to do 2 oil changes on it to make it work. Jeez. Alright. Let me put that back in just for a second. The good news is it wasn't leaking any. If there's one positive out of this thing. Darn. There's a random bolt or something. I don't even know. Alright. So, first order of business. It's like, will this head fit in the ultrasonic cleaner, or could I just go to town on it in there? Or do I just need to spray the mess out of it with carb spray, brake cleaner, whatever? I'm not sure yet. But if we look inside the cylinder walls here, everything is nice and clean. So as long as I can, well, not scored. I'm not going to call it clean. It's not scored. So that's good, but look at the junk. This is why you don't leave the air filter cover off of your mowers. Look at the stuff inside here. Alright. So, this is a lot worse than I thought it was going to be. So I got to get all this cleaned out here. Push rods look okay, so that's good. Set them aside for now. Man, this is going to be a nasty little repair right here. The head looks good though. The head I'm happy with. A little bit of rust in it. I'm contemplating just throwing it in the ultrasonic and just letting it go to town. I think it would fit. Because while it's doing that, I can just go ahead and start cleaning up everything here. Get the carb off. Test the ignition coil and a couple of other things. So let me go ahead and do that, and I will I'll let y'all see once I get everything cleaned out, because we got a lot of work to do here. Alright guys, so here is the head. I've put some brake cleaner and stuff on it, cleaned it up. It actually came out okay. Oil's now drained out of it, so that's good. And here's the head. The head cleaned up fairly nicely too. I still got to get some oil residual on the bottom of that. Obviously it's a little oily on the top here, a little rusty inside there. But in terms of the mating surface of the head, it turned out pretty good as well. And like I said, just got to do a little bit more cleaning up. The good news, another good news, more good news, I guess I could say. The ignition coil seems to be good. If I can get a good mating surface on it. Got about a 4.9 ohms of resistance on the ignition coil, so I think that's going to be okay, as long as the heat doesn't get to it and short it out. But this thing's going to get a very extended mow before we do anything with it. I'm almost at the point I'm putting the head back on. I got a head gasket. I'm going to vacuum up off the top of this engine right here and get some of that stuff out of the way. And we'll put the head back on. Once I clean some stuff, clean a little bit more stuff up, and we'll see what we end up with. All right, we're making some progress now. I got the head back on it, cleaned up the top of it a little bit. I know there's still a little bit of oil and stuff on it, but the mating surface is clean. I've got the head bolts torqued down, and then I've also got the head back on. It's hard when you get water and basically everything, it's hard to get it 100% clean. But an oil change and stuff will help flush that out. I probably will do 2 oil changes on this just to make sure that we're okay. Because man, that's some rough stuff that was in this thing. What's left to do? I've got the valves back on. I need to adjust them again. Put a valve cover on with the gasket, and then I'll go ahead and turn my attention to the carburetor. Like I said, I think the coil's going to be okay. Hopefully the starter's good enough to turn everything once we get some fresh oil in there. And we got to do a starter solenoid. That starter seems like it's pretty free, so that's good. And we'll take a look at the carburetor. I'm sure the carb is, I'm not even going to look inside the carb. I know that it is just done. So we're going to take care of that. Slap a new aftermarket one on it and roll on with it with that as well. So that's where I'm at. It's going back together fairly smoothly so far. I've ground off all the residue from the old gasket for both of them and putting them back on now. Alright, let's see what we end up with. Alright guys, here's where we're at. Got the valve cover gasket on, the valve cover on, the exhaust back on. I've taken the carb off, and there ain't even ain't even a need to even get into this thing. I tried to get into it, but the screws stripped. But if you can see it, there's just junk in there, and I'm sure that it has corroded the gaskets beyond measure. So we're just gonna chuck it. Goodbye. Anyways, one other thing I gotta do is work on this gas tank. So I've got to pop the this little zip tie off and wash this thing out to get it clean, let it dry out for a little bit, and while I do that, I'll go ahead and put the carburetor and stuff on. Bless me, my goodness. Get the carburetor and stuff on, and see what we end up with. Maybe I can get a starter solenoid on it as well. But I need to clean out the intake. The intake right here looks okay. And so I think we're okay from here. I cleaned that out as good as I could. We're going to have a little bit of rust and stuff that's just going to have to make its way out. Might throw a little bit of Marvel Mystery Oil in the first oil change here just to get some of that stuff out. Maybe some Seafoam. That'll probably help more than Marvel Mystery Oil. So let me go ahead and keep on cruising here. See what we end up with. Alright y'all, we're about at the point where we could attempt to start it. Don't have any oil in it yet, but I can at least show you. I put a starter solenoid in it as well, as you can see here. I do need to probably bend it down a little bit because it needs to clear this little panel. This panel needs to clear. But what I'm going to do is I can put the brake on. The blade safety is a little bit weird. I don't know if I want to venture into trying to fix that. And also these belts, oh man guys, I was hoping that these belts weren't this bad, but these belts are really, really, really bad. And so I don't want to have to put belts on this thing, but we'll see how she runs. If it runs and cuts good, I'll go ahead and spend the money on belts, because that's honestly the only thing I'm going to have in it is belts and a starter solenoid. So hopefully anyways. Let me put the brake on, pull the lever up, and start the thing. So that's good. Now we'll see if it actually sparks. Can't really do that very well, but let's see. I can confirm that we have some spark, so that's good. Let me get some oil in it. I'll get it off of these jack stands. I just had it tilted up because I had the valve cover and stuff off. And gas tank is right here, so I'll go ahead and take care of the oil, put the gas tank back on, put some gas in it, see what we end up with. I already put a new carb on it, so I'll get fuel lines as well. And cross our fingers, guys. I think we might be all right. We might be driving this thing out of the garage today. All right, y'all, we're ready for the first start. I think I showed you that I have the carburetor on, and put oil in it, put the gas tank back on, fuel line. Well, that might be a little bit of a kink there. We'll just have to see. It does have this elbow in it though, so we'll see though. I think I'm going to zip tie it out like that so it doesn't interfere with like the fuel filter getting in the heat of the engine and melting the plastic on it. But for all intents and purposes of trying to crank this thing up, I think we're ready. So let's see what happens. The fact that it runs that good, it's still got a little bit of a something going on, but I'm not sure. Like it's running a little rich or something. Drives. Man, I got like a rust cloud around here. Woo! Missing is I didn't gap the valves when I fixed it, or when I put the valve cover back on, so I need to do that one more time. Let's see if it'll cut. So well, I wasn't showing y'all anything for about a minute there. You can see we got some smoke rolling off of it. I forgot I need to adjust the valves, so I'm going to go ahead and take care of that here when the engine cools down, and that may help. I bet it's got a lot of water still coming back up through the crankcase, so that's probably what's going on. But the let's see, let's check the oil real quick. Yeah, it's still got a little milk in the oil, so might let that seafoam do its magic for a little bit. Probably do one cut or something on this, and then we'll be good. It dries. It just had to free up some pulleys, and seems good. It's like I'm kind of on the fence because I'm like, well, do I put belts on it? Because this belt right here, it's a little bit out of a whack because it's not completely stopping the mower whenever you pull it back. So we've got that going on. This is just gonna be a cheap mower for somebody to use. Like, I mean, I won't plan to get more than about $300 out of this thing. So it might be one of those situations where I slap some blades on it and send it. But for now, I got some storms coming, so kind of want to be careful. Well, looking on the TV right now, it looks like they're probably a good 30 minutes away still. But I might go ahead and see if I can adjust the valves to get it to run a little bit better. I know you're not supposed to adjust valves when the engine is warm, but we're gonna might let it cool off while I clean up some stuff here in the garage. But I do want to do that tonight before I finish up, and then we'll source some blades and see what we need to do, guys. I mean, I think we might be all right on this thing. Seems like it does have a little bit of blow by, which is, I mean, I expect that, honestly, because it's got all this junk that it's pulling up to the intake. But like I said, I expect that from what this thing was. Seems like it's running a little advanced. I might pull the flywheel nut and check the spark, but I think, like I said, I think it's something going on inside it to where it's just all that water and stuff building up, and maybe a couple of oil changes will flush it out. We'll see. But we're in good shape. One afternoon we got a running mower, so that's good. Let me clean up a little bit and see what I can get myself into this evening, and we'll go from there. All right, guys, kind of funny here, but it worked. Y'all saw how the blades and stuff were still trying to turn whenever I was pulling some stuff. So what I did, I just pulled this lever down and literally just bent it, pushed it down and bent the whole lever, and that adjusted everything down. So now everything, I believe everything is off of it now. I can crank it up and see, but apparently I have to go a little bit further, but I did just bend the mess out of it, and it seemed like it helped a little bit. You're like, watch this dummy, he's gonna break the bar off of it. It is better. Adjust the brakes down a little bit. better. It is a little better. We just need to make it so that it's not gonna try and take off on us. A couple other things I could try, like bending this in a little bit more even. Seems like it's better though. I'm gonna work on it a little bit. It didn't hurt it though. Just be careful because you don't want to like break the arm off of this thing, and because then I'd be done after that. So. The thing about these MTB decks is there's just a bunch of moving parts associated with them. So, just kind of have to. That's better. It's just a bunch of moving parts associated with them, so you have to be easy. It's about to storm, so I'm going to finish cleaning up, go eat some dinner, and probably catch y'all tomorrow when I do the valve adjustment and stuff. And in all honesty, we might finish this thing up. Very least we might cut some grass with it tomorrow. See if I can find some blades for it locally as well. So I don't have to source them. I think Walmart's got these in stock, the 38-inch ones. Might have to check them out tomorrow on the way home. But yeah, so that's what's going on, and I'll let y'all know tomorrow. I'll adjust the valves and all that good stuff, and figure out a way to put the hood back on, and I think we'll be good after that. We're really pleased with how the engine turned out. It's still running a little rough, mostly because I think there's a bunch of blow-by associated with the water and whatnot. I think that's going to happen for a while. I think the best thing for me to do is just run the mess out of this thing. Do a big old cut in the yard and all that good stuff, and I think we'll be good. Alright, y'all, so I've taken the valve cover back off to do a valve adjustment. Adjusting to about 0.5 thousandths. And all you need is a T20 and a 10 millimeter. Just loosen your T20, tighten your 10 millimeter, because a lot of times these things are loose. Also, Walmart for the win. They're the only ones in town that have the 38-inch blades. That's honestly the only thing they had in stock, was these 38-inch blades for this thing, which is fantastic. So we got new blades on it. I'll show you why. I'll sometimes try and fix blades, but whenever they lose their lift, I replace them. So these blades are done. They're only $28 for the set, which is actually just as cheap as I can get them online, and they're in stock. Plus, I've got one thing that's kind of grinding my gears in terms of shipping right now for a snapper that's in the other room over there. So I like to have the bird in my hand, if you know what I mean. So we're gonna wipe this valve cover back off. The gasket, we're gonna put it back on, tighten everything back up. We'll see if it runs any better. Them valves are way out. I mean, way out. So that's gonna be good. All right. Let me see if I can source an air filter for this thing too. I need to order a lot of stuff for around here if I'm gonna be knocking out riders like this the rest of the year. We'll see how she runs after I do this. Alright guys, so we're not done with the video yet. It has just been a little bit of time since I've worked on this, and I want to kind of give everybody a sense of where this thing is at if I haven't already done so. This thing runs. I'm pretty sure that it's purged most of the water out of the engine as well. Just to see if it would run, I had one head gasket that was for a little bit larger displacement single cylinder. I think it was either for a 31 or a 33,000 series. This is a 28. I have ordered the correct head gaskets for this, or the head gasket for it, which I'm going to swap out. I'm going to swap it out and give it an oil change and see if it runs any better. I was having issues with it starting with the air filter on, but it is now successfully doing so, or at least it did yesterday. It seems like it's got a little bit of a compression leak. So one thing I want to do, like I said, put the head gasket on, change the oil, see if it runs any better. And while I have the head off, I'm going to check the valves just to make sure that they're seating properly, because it seems like there's just a tiny compression, not a tiny compression leak, but there's a compression leak somewhere, and I don't know if it's because I put a head gasket that was a little for a bigger displacement engine to where it's leaking a little bit of that compression out of the chamber up into the gasket, and that might be causing the difference. Like, I didn't think it was going to make that much of a difference, but that could be what's going on. So I'm going to pop another head gasket on, change the oil. We'll see how it runs after that. All right, I think I've already shown most of this on here. That's pretty much going to leave the drive belts. The drive belts are trash on this thing. I've got drive belts coming, OEM drive belts, guys, OEM. I think they're rotary, so legit aftermarket, folks, not the cheap stuff, which work just as good. We'll find out, at least. Tires are still holding up. That's where we're at. So I'm gonna swap the head gasket, change the oil, see how if this runs any better, and then we'll see. Y'all heard it, almost like a little thumping sound, almost like it had a little bit of a choke action going on. It's not the choke, it's just getting too much fuel for the amount of air. Something going on with the compression a little bit. It's not a timing issue either. So that's where I'm at. Let me, I've checked the flywheel key, unless there's an internal timing issue, which I don't think there is. I think it's compression related, and I want to get to the bottom of it. If I find anything while I'm doing this, I'll let you know. If not, you'll see this thing with a new head gasket and a fresh oil change here in just a second. I was kind of being a little bit of a dummy on this one, and I ground down the valve like a dummy. But what I wanted to do, I took these valves and I just kind of gave them a quick glaze just to try and get them with the wire brush, just to try and get them to where they'd seat a little bit better. They seem like they're seating okay. I just wanted to get it a little bit better. Just kind of cleaning up the edges and such. The intake one seems like it's a little better. I think that was where I was having some of my issues. Like I said, I just kind of shot in the dark right now. All I know is that it seems like it's running a little bit rich. The plug is really, really black. So I don't know, like, if it's just pushing too much gas through there for whatever reason. But we'll do that right there. And then I need to get something under that one, huh? Like my fingers, how about that? Just push. These overhead valves are a lot easier than flatheads. I was in flathead mode when I decided I wanted to grind down the valve on the I believe that's the intake side on this. Yeah. So that's what I'm working on. I'm gonna clean off everything on the head and whatnot and put this head gasket in, the 28,000 one, and make sure the valves are adjusted properly still. I might let them be adjusted a little bit loose, so hopefully valves are not an issue. I adjusted them, I believe, to 0.05 already, so we'll see about that, and then crank her up, see what happens. If it's still running a little rough, I'm gonna change the oil regardless, just because of the amount of water that was in it at the beginning. And hopefully we'll get a smooth runner out of this at some point. I mean, we're getting close. We are getting very close. And then pretty much just leave me to put drive belts on this thing, and probably gonna send it after that, because it should be a decent mower for somebody once we can get it to run decent. Hopefully I ain't got to put another engine in this thing, but we'll try. If this doesn't work, we'll try another head, and if that doesn't work, I really don't know at that point. So let me keep on cruising and see what's, put it all back together, see if it runs any better. Still running a little rich here and there. like it wants to stay on choke for some reason. I don't know. It is starting a little easier though, so that's good. This is a mystery, guys. Let's check the so the butterfly is wide open, so it ain't that. Closed, open, closed, open. Gas smells good. Blow-by is pretty much gone. Like, I think all the water's out of the engine. So I wonder if this carb is just terrible. Thinking of, I wonder if I should just put a carb on it and see what happens. I'm glad I put the right head gasket on it though, because let's see if I can get this thing to crank without any choke. I wonder if he just got a crap carb for this thing. Actually, I put the carb on, didn't I? Ooh. Won't do it. So, I don't know guys, I might try the oil change, but it's running rich, so I don't know if I got a carb that's a little bit too strong on it or not. I'll shop around and see what I got here in the garage, but I don't know. May have one that's just a little bit too rich. It's also trying to, I think, blow gas back up. So I don't know if it's that or if it's something going on with the head, a little bit too much blow-by in the engine. Not completely sure, but I'm going to work on it a little bit more this evening. See if I can get it to run better. Alright guys, there's stuff I ain't seen before. Check this out. So you hear it running like this, right? Watch what happens when I take this out. Don't make a liar out of me. That's not supposed to do that. Let's engage the blades. Still doing it a little bit. Completely stopped it when it's on idle, or when it's... That's crazy. That is crazy. So this carb's set up to run a little too rich, I guess. I wonder if it'll crank back now. Let me make sure I don't lose that.
put that right there for right now. Stand by. Man, I don't know. Runs a little rough when you engage the blades. Skips a little bit. But as soon as you disengage the blades, it's running smooth. I'm gonna do an oil change on this thing. That's crazy. Still doing it a little bit, but nowhere near as bad as it was at all. Need to get the idle speed about right there. You can almost hear it's got a little compression leak still. That's crazy. That's something else. I wonder if it'll start back still. Because sometimes when I do that, it won't. As long as it'll start back, that's all I care. I'm gonna mess around with this thing a little bit more off camera. But I have never in my life taken out this. Usually when you take out this, it surges up and down like crazy. This right here, it's caused it to smooth out. I don't know. I'm gonna work on it a little bit more, see what we can do. Don't want to spend too much more time on this because it's a $350 mower at best. So I'll let you know what I find out. All right, guys, I think I figured out this thing. I didn't see it originally. But y'all saw, I think I may have mentioned that I saw a little bit of pitting in the valves. Well, I'm pretty sure that, I don't know if you see how rough that edge is right there. And then we go into the intake valve here. That is intake valve. Yes, the intake valve. You see how that valve seat's a little inset on one side and not on the other? I'm thinking that it has just enough of a leak that's causing an issue with that. So now I've got to get, I think, another head gasket. Try and install this head on it again. I had it on there, but I don't think with the old gasket that it worked. So I'm going to try another gasket. Maybe even double up the gaskets and see what happens. Because if you look on here, the valve seats look good here. When I took the other one off, it kind of looked like, yeah, I could double check them before I put it on, but it kind of looked like this one was inset a little bit. So I think what it did is it got some crud up in there whenever it had water in it. Push that valve seat down. I'm going to assess my situation. I'm going to attempt to try this head though and see if it's going to work. Like I said, I already tried it once and it didn't work with the original valve, the head gasket that I had on it. Of course, I don't have any head gaskets here, so we'll see. I would really like to get this thing running today. I'm going to see what I have in my shed back there and go from there. I might have one that's a little bit better shape, or has some gasket material that I can mate up to the other one. Because this one, I don't think I can save with the way that valve seat is, unless it's trying to pop out from the bottom. I feel like it's really rough inside there too, so I think that the water really messed this head up. So let's try another head. I'll let y'all know the results of this. I've filmed enough on this mower, and I'm pretty much just going to tell you what ended up fixing it at this point, trying to get it running right. Alright guys, I have good news. I am correct. It was the head. The double gasket obviously didn't work. Y'all knew that. But I found one that was good enough to at least try. It is leaking at the bottom. As you can see, it's leaking oil pretty good down there. But I can at least show you that it will run, and it starts just fine on, not starting fluid, but it starts just fine with the air filter on it. So that's good. So basically all I need to do is wait for a head gasket to come in, put another head gasket on it, and we should be ready to roll. Gotta throttle it up. I'm gonna see if the local small engine shop's got one in stock. And if they do, I'm probably just going to run over there in the morning and pick that up, change that out. And I believe the engine will be sorted after that, which is great. So it was the head, and it was those valves. Those valves had must have got a little rough edge on them, and caused the seat to push in on the cylinder head. So that's what it was. How about that? So obviously, like I said, you can see it's actively dripping now, pretty bad. So I might just throw it on a jack, see if the small engine shop locally has a head gasket, and in the morning I just pop out here and pop it on, and we'll be ready to roll. But like I said, running issues are sorted. I've just got to sort that out. You can hear that it started really easily after I throttled it up with the air filter on, which it was not doing before. So that's awesome. Let's wrap this portion of the video up, and then we'll do part 2 in a separate video, because we're getting kind of long here. Alright guys, so we're finished up with part 1 of this Boland's yard machines. 14 horsepower, that was free. I have drive belts. They're probably in the mailbox right now. I just need to go get them. And we have successfully brought this thing back to life. It took a little bit more than I thought it was going to. It took a new head, and obviously a new carburetor, and 2 oil, well, I could have gotten by with 1 oil change, but 2 oil changes, new fuel line, all that mess, new air filter, etc., etc. But she's a runner. I just got to get a head gasket now. I've gone through 3 head gaskets trying to fix this thing. That will be my 3rd after I put it on for good this time. So we're good. We're good to go. That head is, I don't think I can bring that valve seat back, because I bet it's bent that metal underneath the valve seat, or crushed the valve seat, one of the two. And I have plenty of heads here, so I'm not really worried about that. So this completes part 1. I wanted to do this all in one part, but I figured that I had never really covered MTD drive belts on mowers like this one, and I want to do a dedicated video on that. So that's what I'm going to do in part 2. You see this thing runs, drives, cuts, and it's going to be a good mower when I finish with it. But the drive belts are like literally losing chunks on them, so we can't be rolling like that. So I'm going to do a dedicated video on that. I'm also going to see if I can get this deck to where it will retract properly, so that it's not spinning like it is when
when I have the mower on and it's resting in the stop position, it comes back just enough to where it partially engages the blades. I'm going to see if I can get that fixed as well. If that's going to be a really involved thing, I might just let it ride like it is. I'm not sure. Thank y'all for riding along with me on this video. I know it's a rather lengthy one, but we brought a free lawnmower back to life that had more water in it than oil, which is pretty impressive, I think. So thank y'all again. Like I said, I appreciate y'all watching the channel and for all the support. Y'all help me keep motivated to keep these videos coming out for y'all. So I will catch y'all on part 2 of this yard machines, where we're going to, I will fix that head gasket off camera. I've covered that enough. But we will definitely get the drive belt sorted out here. And secondly, we are going to see if we can get the deck sorted. And if we can do that, we've got a decent mower. We're going to bring about $300, $350 on this thing. It's not going to be lucrative, but it's going to be right. And that's what my goal is for all the stuff that I've got hanging around here, is to make it right from now on. I don't like doing this halfway mess. So thank y'all again, and I will catch y'all on the next video. See you then.